Right. Should be live here. See what we got going on. Okay. All right. Hey everybody, trying to get this thing sorted out so I can see who's where. Come on. Trying to call it up on my laptop so I can see it. So I can see if people ask questions. All right, well, it's not coming up on my laptop quite properly, so I guess that's where it's going to go. That's kind of annoying. Well, there it is. There we go. Now it's up. Now I can see my silly ass self. All right, so Goose Top Gun 1. What's up, bro? Like the freaking. That's right, homie. All right, I'll be back here theoretically in a second because it should catch up. But anyway, we're going to talk about that OIS in San Jose. So that was a bit of a freaking. My laptop quite properly. Seems like you kill that sound. I guess that's where it's going to go. All right, so I don't double up. There we go. Somebody give me a thumb if my comms are good. If I got good ears, somebody throw me a thumb. All right, somebody. This is a little behind, so it'll take a second for you guys to get to me. Anyway, let's see. Somebody. All right, okay, cool. Thanks, Goose. All right, guys, I'm going to jump into it, and I'll go back and forth between this thing to see like if there are questions and stuff like that. But talking about that San Jose shooting, right? So let's see if we can get this. Make sure the camera is looking right. Anyway, the San Jose PD, they had an officer-involved shooting, and the first officer tried to run the guy over, and he failed, and then got a little dance around the car, a la freaking dumbassery from Centrifuge stuff. And failed at that. Then the suspect tried to get in his car, his patrol, and drive away. Couldn't, and then ran, and then was engaged, fell down, and then was run over and killed. So it had kind of a happy ending, but it was not the thing, man. That's not what it should have been. So let me jump back in. So I'm looking at the OIS now. It's actually up on my laptop. That's why I was messing around with this. So I'm watching it from the beginning. The guy stops. The suspect stops and gets out and starts to go try. It looks like he's trying to hijack another vehicle. Patrol comes by and he avoids him. The suspect avoids him, and he's still on his feet. Patrol drives by and stops maybe 10 yards. I'm looking at it right now. It might not even be 10 yards from the lead left side of the suspect vehicle with the door open. Stops and basically is loitering in his vehicle. I don't know what took him so long to get out. He starts to get out. He should have been spring-loaded in that damn thing. But he took from what's been released, he took rounds to the back and one nicked his head. He gets out of the vehicle, okay? The suspect goes behind the vehicle that he had carjacked, tries to get observation on him, then officer gets out, he's by the door, suspect rushes the vehicle. Now you're dancing around the vehicle, okay? And you guys have heard me say it before. When you get two guys on one piece of terrain chasing each other around, and vehicles are terrain. Let's back up a couple precepts here. Vehicles are terrain unless they're moving. If they're moving, they're a vehicle or they're a weapon, okay? And in this instance, you see the suspect's vehicle becomes terrain, and the officer's vehicle was used as a weapon, failed, and then became terrain. And in the end of the video, or in the end of the incident, another officer's vehicle is used as a weapon to neutralize the suspect. So now the suspect rushes the vehicle. Now you've got two guys dancing around the car, okay? When you're chasing each other around one car, and I know that they've taught that garbage at Centrifuge for years, there is nothing repeatable. That is luck and magazine capacity, okay? That's all it is, all right? And as kids, if you grew up in places where there was snow, you chased each other around trees and threw snowballs at each other. If you grew up in places in the desert where it was hot, you threw freaking dirt clods at each other. We've done it since we were kids. There's nothing repeatable about it. There's nothing that you can do that you can practice and refine that will give you a higher likelihood of success. It's literally luck and magazine capacity. If I got a 5-shot J-frame and you got a Glock 17, you win. You just shoot your way to me until I run out of bullets and then either die or comply. You know, it's like, it's just, the whole concept behind that is entertainment. So now he's on that vehicle. They're chasing each other around. I'm watching it right now. The suspect comes, and the only reason that officer didn't get killed, okay, is because the suspect didn't press the fight, because he was outside of the vehicle, the door was open, and he was pinned in between the door and the side of the vehicle. He didn't even get away from the vehicle, go to the front of the vehicle, nothing. That suspect comes out, leans out, sees him, kind of goes back, kind of comes back, tries to take a shot at him, okay? Now the suspect goes around the back right of the vehicle, runs up to the front of the vehicle. Now they're chasing each other around the car like two little 12-year-olds. And the officer lacks the marksmanship skill to engage the guy. He can't hit the guy, okay? So now what I'm looking at is an officer standing probably 3 yards off the front of the suspect's vehicle that he had carjacked in the middle of the street, okay? Didn't even go back and use that vehicle for some sort of ballistic protection, okay? Cars are not covered, they're enhanced ballistic protection because they're not rated. If they're rated, then they can be covered. They're enhanced ballistic protection. Now he's standing in the street, maybe 3 yards off the front of that vehicle. Suspect tries to get in the vehicle and flee, okay? Can't do it for some reason. I don't know why, okay? Gets back out. Now he starts to flee on foot down an adjacent street, basically from where the vehicle is, the 90-degree street, the intersection. At that point, he's running in the street and he gets engaged and falls, okay? He's right next to a car, and there's an Explorer or a Suburban or whatever the friggin' vehicle is, comes smoking by and crushes him, okay? Now he's dead. All right. So you start looking at this. He had, okay, the guy's there, and you want to use a vehicle to neutralize the guy, okay? That's great. Okay, got it. It's legal, use of force, all that stuff. I got it. I used to teach use of force for the Air Marshal program. I actually went to school for it, and I taught it as in-service training. So I'm not just talking. For all you people out there who are like, you're not a cop, you don't know. Actually, I do know. I'm a federal firearms instructor and a federal Air Marshal instructor, and I taught use of force, and I understand it completely. They were well within their rights to do that both times, okay? Now, the problem is when you do something like that and you are unrehearsed and it doesn't work, like with that officer, now what do you do? What do you do? Like, okay, I tried to run him over, it didn't work. Oh shit, now what? The answer was not to stop less than 10 yards from the suspect vehicle while the suspect is out of his vehicle and armed. That made no sense. He had a wide open intersection. He could have pushed through it and turned back around and at least nosed the guy. But he stopped 10 yards in, which is why he got shot through the back of the car and was struck, okay? Poor tactical decision right there. First, unrehearsed in his attempt, okay? I doubt there was any conscious thought like, hey, like in the last run him down in the street class, this is how we did it. So, hey, kudos for him for giving it a shot. I'm not barking at him for that. I'm just saying, if you're going to do it, you better have a, primary, alternate, contingency, emergency. Better have 4 plans, at least 2. You had 1 and it kind of sucked and you failed at it, okay? So you missed the guy, and so you stop in the middle of an intersection, okay, with your back to him, okay? The 3 things you need in a fight: stability, mobility, and awareness. He's got stability because he's sitting in a freaking seat. He gave up his mobility and his awareness. Now the suspect knows exactly where you are. You have to get out of the vehicle and find him, okay? And the first indication, I would assume for him, that the suspect was still in the fight was bullets coming through the freaking back window, okay? One of which struck him in the side of the head, okay? He's still ambulatory. He's still capable of getting out of the vehicle and quasi-fighting, but now he has no skills to support it. Doesn't really know where he is. You can see in 2 different videos, you can see his demeanor. Anybody that's just fought, okay, in any way, understands. He got out and his demeanor was one of like, oh shit, I don't know where this guy is and I'm scared, okay? And there's nothing wrong with being scared, but you got to function, okay? Everybody's scared. You got to be able to push through it. So he does not have a plan. Well, he has a plan. He has no contingency plan or backup plan. When the execution fails, he doesn't know what to do. So he just stops with his back to the suspect who's armed, who has retained stability, mobility, and awareness, okay? It's like he tries to get out of the vehicle, but there is a desire that I see in law enforcement to stay near their vehicle. They wanted their vehicles like protection or something. They could stay near it. And people go, well, I've had one guy tell me, well, what if you're out in the middle of, Idaho and all there is open farm and, farm fields on the side? Are you just going to get out and like hide behind a cow and jump off the road? Like, shut the fuck up. Just stop being a jackass. Okay. You move to the best piece of ground to fight from. It's called maneuver. Okay. Where am I? What do I have? Where can I go that's better, that gives me more? Okay. Much as you guys won't like to hear it that are coppers, it's infantry tactics, man. It's basic maneuver tactics. Doesn't matter what uniform you wear, because it works just the same. I'm constantly trying to maneuver to a position of advantage to fix you in place. Okay, find, fix, and finish. I want to hold you there. I want to pin you in place and not give you anywhere to go or not give you anywhere good to go. Okay? So this guy pushes into the intersection, stops. Now he's blind to the guy, but the suspect knows exactly where he is, which is why the suspect engages him first. Then he gets out, but he stays with his vehicle. They're dancing around the vehicle. Oh, by the way, other responding officers are now limited in how they can provide support to him because those two are zooming around in the freaking intersection. Okay? So you're cutting off the route for the cavalry to come save the day. So like all of it tells me that a level of tactical awareness. One, you thought your plan was going to work. Okay? Everybody thinks their plan is going to work. The pros go, my plan's like, I'm going to execute this, it's going to work. But if it doesn't, I got a backup plan. Okay? If it doesn't, I'm pushing through the intersection, I'm going to come for another pass. Okay, so it's like there was no, it was a cowboy move, and it failed. Okay, that shit happens. I get it. I'm like, good for him for at least trying. But to stop everything that he did after that showed that he didn't know what to do next, and lack of marksmanship skill. There's a point where he's chasing the guy around the car. He's got a shot at him. The suspect goes around the back, kind of loses sight of where he is. He comes around the back of the vehicle. And I'm going to look at it right now. When he comes around the back of the vehicle, he's basically leading with his face. He's not leading with a gun up. So when that suspect goes to the front of the vehicle, he has a shot. He doesn't have the time or the skill to take it. Okay, so I'm looking at it right now. Out of the vehicle, tries to run him over, fails. Okay, he's still in his car, gets hit in his car. Okay, suspect runs behind the suspect carjacked vehicle, sees where the officer is. Okay, the officer doesn't know where he is now. He rushes the vehicle, goes around the back right to the left, doesn't press the fight. It looks like they throw a couple bullets at him. The guy shoots through the side window. Then he goes around the front of the vehicle, and the officer goes really wide and misses the opportunity. Instead of going close to the vehicle, because he's obviously concerned about it, which is fine, he goes really wide into the intersection, putting himself out in the open and leaving the suspect with his vehicle as protection. Okay, so it's like his spatial awareness is off. He doesn't really know where he is. He's all frazzled, obviously. Okay? And it's like people go, oh, well, he got shot in the head. He got a grazing wound in the head. And I have seen way worse than that. And guys still freaking get after it. Okay? So I'm not interested in that. We're not going to talk about that dumbassery. Okay? Getting punched in a bar doesn't mean the fight's over. It just means it got interesting. Okay? You get hit hard, freaking get to your feet and do some of that pilot shit, Mav. Okay? The idea that you can execute something that is unrehearsed, okay, and non-standard. It's not something that you do all the time. It's not something you practice, trying to hit somebody with a vehicle. Okay, I get it. You can do it. Use of force allows it. But you better have, hey, if this doesn't work, what am I going to do? And the answer is never stop in the middle of the open with your back to somebody with a gun that you just tried to kill, okay? So, I mean, that part of it, to me, is just absolutely patently absurd. Okay, and it shows me that the officer did not know what he was going to do. He had a frago. He had a fragmentary order, man. He was like, hey, I'm gonna run this guy down. The problem is he didn't give any contingencies, okay? No annexes, man. There's nothing there. There's like, oh, what if it doesn't work? And like I said, then he stops in the open with his back to the suspect, who is armed, who he just tried to kill, can't find the guy. The guy rushes his vehicle, and the only reason he didn't get smoked is because the guy didn't press the fight properly. That's all. If that guy had been somebody with some training, he would more than likely kill the officer, okay? Then they dance around the car. Then he runs out in the open. It's a comedy of errors, man. It's sad. I'm glad the guy's alive, but man, like I saw on the news, he comes out of the hospital and everybody's saluting and they're making him, they're making him into freaking John Basilone and Audie Murphy wrapped in one. It's like, dude, you got lucky. You got straight lucky, okay? Because I know a lot of my friends. If you were going against a lot of my friends, you wouldn't be so lucky. And I'm talking from 2 different services and 3 different special units. You got your stuff pushed in, okay? So like, don't make the guy a hero until we know what happened. Just go, hey man, you survived. Let's learn from it. My fear is that no one's going to learn from it. That they're going to go, pat him on the back, make him a hero, push him on the speaking circuit, and then hey, whatever, it's all good. Like, so I'm not hopeful for that, because law enforcement departments do that because nobody wants to go, our training sucked. Like, we weren't prepared for this. And if that's the case, this should be the catalyst for a class. Okay, if you're going to try and run somebody down, guess what? You better think about it. Okay, because if it doesn't work, this has already happened. Case study. These are all the wrong things to do. Okay, when it doesn't work, when the plan doesn't work, there should be a seamless transition into an alternate plan. Okay, there wasn't. Okay, well, there was an impromptu, terrible alternate plan, I guess, but it wasn't anything planned. It was just, I'll just stop here and figure it out. Okay, stopping with your back to a suspect that you just tried to kill, that is engaging you. Once he took bullets through that car, he just hit the gas and left. He should have known, I'm already in a bad spot. I'm already at a disadvantage. But he didn't. And by staying there, like I said, now he's in the middle of the intersection dancing around a car with this guy, and now the cavalry can't come and save the day. Why? Because you're doing the wrong thing in the wrong place at the wrong time. And you're getting lucky. That's great, but luck's not a plan, man. It's when you understand tactics. Vehicles, okay, let's go back. I'm getting ready to do a vehicle class. I think it's full. It's almost full. I think I only have two slots left at TTPOA. A vehicle class, I see crap on the internet. I saw another Chris Costa one where he's running around with like helmets on and tennis balls taped to his hands and all kinds of stupid shit like that. Okay, then that stuff is stupid. And anyone that wants to get on an IG Live that teaches that, okay, teaches that, put a helmet on, tape a tennis ball to your hand, squirt fake blood. Any one of you, any swinging Richie out there that wants to get on IG Live and debate that with me, you are more than welcome to, and I will gladly jump on. I'll put on a suit and tie for you. And it's stupid. It is. You're taking people that don't shoot well enough to do dynamic, marksmanship, to do high-speed marksmanship. They're not even good and vaguely good enough for that. And you put them out there and you tape up one hand, you limit their vision, and you give them a freaking live 5.56 gun or pistol. And the idea with that stupid tennis ball crap that you're going to put a broken hand next to a gun and fire it, okay, that is the stupidest thing. It's not the stupidest thing I've ever seen, but it's really damn close. Have you ever broken your hand? Oh yeah, I have. It ain't going anywhere near the shock and vibration of a handgun. It's just going to hang there. And I'm going to try not to bump into anything. Why? Because there's tons of nerve endings in your hand. It hurts like fuck. Okay? So like, that stuff is stupid. What you're doing is filling time that you should be doing the stuff that's hard and humbling with fantasy crap. Those are garbage. And then you'll get some jackass to go, oh, well, you're saying do nothing? Nobody said do nothing. Just don't do dumb shit, okay? I know what the right shit is. I do. Trust me on that, okay? Everybody knows what I've done and what I haven't done. And so it's like, if you're going to talk about that stuff, you're out of your league, Donnie, okay? You're out of your league. So when you're talking about vehicles, again, vehicles are terrain. They have an inconsistent level of ballistic protection unless they are rated. If it's a rated car and I can shoot under it, it's still not covered. If I can access you with bullets, okay? If I can find you with a bullet and stick it in you, then you're not behind cover. Cover stops incoming fire. I use the military definition because it covers everything from freaking arrows to freaking nuclear weapons, okay? Pick the ones that apply. Like people say, I've gotten so much pushback on that because, oh, you're going to be attacked by a nuclear weapon. Whatever applies to you dictates what is cover not, okay? If I'm behind a normal wood panel door and you have a BB gun, that's cover. If I'm behind a motor vehicle and you have a freaking 240, that's not cover. Okay, so it's the The obstacle, the thing between the bullets and you, defines what cover is, not you. And you don't get to arbitrarily call something cover unless it's ballistically rated. So just stop that, okay? Yeah, I saw that stupidity with freaking Costa running around and taped tennis balls. Oh, it's such a smoker. Go do a freaking, go do a tactical games, do a Spartan race, do a good freaking CrossFit workout. That's a smoker too, but there's at least something decent to it. Vehicles are terrain. Unless they're moving, then they're either a vehicle or a weapon. Now, when you're talking terrain, then it becomes tactics. I'm constantly looking to move to a position of advantage, right? If I don't move, I'm letting you move. If you move to that position of advantage before me, I get burned, okay? That vehicle stopped in a place where he couldn't get help. If he had continued through the intersection, one, he probably wouldn't have gotten shot, but we don't know that. I think he wouldn't have, but we'll just say he wouldn't have got shot any worse, that's for sure. And there were responding officers. So the intersection's here. The responding officers are coming from the back side and from this side. He stops in the middle, which shuts down any responding officers, lanes of fire, any of that. He's also in around a bunch of vehicles, civilian vehicles that are occupied. If he had left, they could have pushed online, which is what they probably would have done. Just pushed online towards the guy, okay, making him engage in multiple directions if he decided to engage, or even better than that, run into an open intersection. No, I force you to run in the open, okay? The open is like a giant kill zone. Imagine that. So instead of denying him terrain, I'm pushing him into terrain that he can't fight me from. Again, it's called tactics, okay? Anybody that was an 0311 or an 11 Bravo, they understand it, okay? I don't have to take away all your terrain. I mean, if I can, I'll just pin you in a box and crush you. But if I can, I'm going to push you somewhere where you can't fight me. Like, you don't have a chance. You have zero chance either way. Either I limit your mobility and I freaking dominate you from multiple angles and you get smoked, or I push you in the open and now you don't even know where we are, but we know exactly where you are and you get burned, okay? But any tactical understanding, someone in charge, running somebody over, okay, give it a try. If it works, big thumb, okay, you got one. If it doesn't work, keep moving. It's like fighters, man, or gunships. Just make another pass. You can't stop there, okay? Just keep going. You missed it. But when I see that, I see a lack of understanding of tactics and then a lack of hard skills with shooting, right? The thing is that, you can't tactics your way out of bad marksmanship. Sometimes you can shoot your way out of a bad situation if you're really good. It only works in one direction, but you're not gonna tactics your way out of not being able to shoot, because the point of delivery of your most critical service as a law enforcement officer, or if you're a ground guy in the mill, okay, was with a gun, was a firearm. Your ability to deliver kinetic energy that will incapacitate someone to the point of death if necessary, okay? Let's just try and sanitize it for everybody involved, law enforcement or military, okay? So, if you can't do that part, everything else doesn't really matter. Now you take bad tactics and bad marksmanship and it's a shit show. So that is why I'm so hard on it. And the idea that they're going to canonize the guy, they're going to make him, a superhero. Dude, just go, hey man, you're survived. Leave it at that. Let's talk about this. But in the rush to protect an agency, you see that all the time. Okay, you see it all the damn time. Now, see if you guys asked any questions. Yes, I get ranty. I'm even tired too. But as the people that know me know, I'm wound a little tight. Okay, let's see. Okay, I got one from Adam, 1911 A1. Adam, you're a 1911 A1. I love the fact you put the A1 in. I love attention to detail, bro. Okay. Had a use of force situation where agents just got lucky that local LEO were called by civilians and saved them after they got tired fighting with the suspect for just 30 seconds. Yeah, you carry a gun for a living, and the most critical thing that you're going to ever do, the most potentially catastrophic thing you're going to do is with a firearm. So, you should be there. Firearms and fitness. It's not, and I'm not talking like firearms and fitness like schmedium t-shirt, SWAT guy or, commando shit. I'm talking be fit, be able to shoot, be able to fight. Because if you need it, nothing else is going to save the day. It's not, okay? And it's, and I have zero patience for excuses, all right? Fitness doesn't just go away, you give it away. So don't even go there. Yeah, hey, JV, what's up, man? Novel idea, but requires everyone being on the same page and these things being taught and rehearsed. I know. Imagine that, having SOPs in your department. I feel you, Jason. These are things that, like, when you have tactics, in-service tactics training, this is stuff that you should be talking about. If you have an open air incident like that, who's going to take charge? Have a plan of some sort. How do we corral the suspect? How do we get him away from that stand of cars? Because the worst thing that could have happened is he could have pushed back towards those responding officers. Now you're fighting a guy in and around or within a stand of and around civilian vehicles that are occupied. And that could have been really unfortunate. Instead, you push him away from those vehicles, away from the innocent civilians, and you push him into open ground. If you've got air, then air tracks him. He's not going to get away. You're the freaking police, man. Okay? Sheriff always gets his man. Like, you're not going to get away, especially these days where there's cameras everywhere. You're not getting away. Okay? But we want to get you away from people that can't defend themselves so you don't hurt them. Serve and protect. But that's the kind of stuff. It reminds me like of active shooter stuff, or active killer, because that sounds sexier. Active shooter stuff before people actually started to learn how to deal with it. Okay, they don't really have a plan. They just show up and, well, we'll figure it out. That ain't a plan. That always sucks. Okay? Who's that? Charlander actor. You're here for the rants, bro? I got rants for days. Okay. TG. Thought it was funny. Air unit gave running commentary, but didn't give direction to incoming units. It's like it was a freaking football game. Like, dude, how about you get involved here? Help us out a little bit. Tell us something that we don't know that we need to know. That would be nice. Yeah, Would you? Okay, here's a good one. I was also late. Would you never train single arm manipulations? No, I didn't say that. You should be able to run the gun with both hands or either hand, but you don't do flamboyant, stupid Instagram centrifuge crap where you tape tennis balls and you put helmets on and you're kicking sand on people or whatever dumb shit they do. I've got tons of them I could bash, but I'll just leave it at that. You practice that. But what is single hand manipulations? I can load, unload, and clear malfunctions on a rifle and a pistol one-handed. Okay? Done. As long as you can do that, you'll be able to apply it. I don't need to have stupid-ass fake blood and a helmet on and a tennis ball taped to my hand, which will never, like, I might have blood on me, but anyone that's been around real blood, fake blood is not like real blood. Real blood's like freaking motor oil, okay? It's that slippery, so don't get confused. Other topic. It doesn't help anybody to do that. I would rather you refine the skill in isolation, and then if you need it, you'll be able to apply it, okay? And if you go to the range, go to the range before you get started, right? Everybody, load their gun, unload their gun, clear a malfunction, with one hand or whatever, if you want to go that far. But I think the imperative is on marksmanship skill way more above that, because it's more important for you to be able to shoot well than it is for you to be able to clear malfunctions, because they are a far less likely event, albeit somewhat catastrophic, but they're not hard. Okay? Truthfully, as long as you can load and unload and reload your gun, you're fine. And clearing malfunctions are basically unloading your gun, making sure it's clear, and reloading your gun. That's what a malfunction is. Okay, tap rack, replicating the loading sequence. Doesn't work, unload the gun, make sure it's clear, reload the gun. You can do that with a rifle or pistol, one-handed. So it just doesn't have to be in some flamboyant fantasy play, LARPer bullshit. That's just a waste of your time. That's flat range time where you could actually learn how to shoot and move while you shoot. You could integrate some sort of tactics into that in the form of rehearsals for SOPs. There's a lot you could do. Okay, I could do a hell of a lot with all that time in those courses where they run around and do fantasy play. The amount we could do. Okay, do police performance pistol up at San Mateo, just so you understand the amount of training you can do. 2 days, 1,700 rounds. The most they shot was 6 bill drills. It's constant, low percentage shots, shooting on the move, like whole little stages, little LE based kind of stages. You can do a ton of training in 2 days, not 3 or 4 or 5 days, and it's all useful and it's all applicable and it's all foundational towards your marksmanship skill and success. So the rest of the stuff is LARP or fantasy play. Okay, and I'm addressing questions as they come up. The bar performance expectations hasn't been lowered. It's been moved. Yeah, participation trophies, and that's what higher ups do for staffing. They can't get people there, so like, oh, we can't up the standards because then people won't pass. How about this crazy shit? we up the standards and we train harder, and they will pass. Okay? Like, it just, to me, it's just, it's foolishness. It's justification. It's rationalizing, making it easy on you. And stop getting, old, broke dick, freaking red shirts in there that don't shoot really well and don't want to do anything new, and they're not keeping track of the newest trends shooting. They don't compete. They don't do anything. They just show up and teach, we're teaching tables 1 through 4 before lunch, and then tables 5 through 8 after lunch. Okay, we're done. That's not what you need. You need someone that's literally going to make you better. Is going to be watching you, not a training manager. Okay, that when you have tables 1 through 4 before lunch and 5 through 8 after, that's directed execution. I am just telling you what to do. You do it. We score it. Instruction is when we evaluate what you do and we critique you individually and make you better. And they need way more of that. There's a lot of good coppers out there that are doing it. I've seen them in Arizona. I've seen them in California. There's a lot of great guys in both those states. That's where I do most of my work and where my friends are. Utah's got really good ones. Guys are trying. There's a lot all over the country, but there's still enough resistance from the suits because it's expensive. It takes bullets. It takes time. And they'd rather have guys 10-8 than have guys training at the range. And that's just the truth, man. You don't have to like it, but you can't defend against it. You can't tell me it's not true. All right? Let's see who else we got. Blackfield, don't be okay for early officers who haven't been exposed to basic tactics that infantry guys are taught. What books, videos? If you look at anything that talks about, you can Google, you can Google, infantry tactics, and it'll give you manuals. You can literally get the PDF and read a manual. It's very simple. Basically, everything that you're doing is forming an L to make people fight in multiple directions and denying them terrain. You're either taking terrain from them and forcing them to lesser terrain, or you're taking key terrain and then dominating them from the key terrain, pinning them in place while another unit maneuvers around them. It's really simple. It's strategy. It's sports. I played lacrosse in college, okay? And lacrosse is strategy. It's dynamic. You are trying to counter a moving, thinking foe, and you're trying to get them out of position and exploit them when they're out of position. So is football, okay? At a one-on-one level. I was a wrestler. I'm trying to do that. I'm trying to get you to do something that I want you to do, or I want to take a dominant position that gives me the ability to manage you better physically, okay? So there's a lot out there. If you understand strategy in sports, if you played sports, I played all kinds of sports all my life. If you didn't, you could literally Google infantry tactics, and the PDF will come up and just start reading. It's really simple. I mean, I was a Marine. They teach Marines that. Okay. See what other questions we have. Okay. Yeah, I just answered that. VC 34907. Just Google. Just Google infantry tactics. And it, like I said, it's very, very, you can read it. It's designed for somebody basically with a GED. It's that simple, okay? Once you understand it, it's like freaking magic sauce, man. Like when we do the vehicle class, Pat and I, my partner Pat from Long Beach SWAT, or used to be Long Beach SWAT. Now he's a lieutenant. Sorry, Pat, I had to tell everybody. When we teach the vehicle class, that's what we're teaching you. Infantry tactics, form an L, and then just start push the guy. Just push him. And what you usually have is, at a certain point, you've denied him enough terrain that when he tries to see a guy over here, he doesn't realize that he's exposing himself to a guy over there. And overwhelmingly, probably 60% of the time, when we get done, we go, okay, what did you see? What did you do? And we ask the person who's the suspect first. And they'll say, they'll tell they're maneuvering. I could see this guy over here. I could see this guy over there. As they started closing on me, I was trying to hide, and then I lost track of them. And I put my head up to see if they were still coming from the north side, and I got shot in the back of the head. Once one guy loses track of 3 guys, it's all but over, as long as they can maneuver together. If they can form an L with 3 guys, they just push the L on them, start taking terrain away from them. You're giving them no space to maneuver, and you're closing the noose around them, okay? And then you have a guy on either side and a guy in the middle. And as long as those guys don't get on both sides of the suspect, which if they understand proper tactics, they shouldn't, then he's fighting 3 guys at 3 different angles at once, and he loses. Okay? We had stuff with the FBI down in New Jersey. We had scenarios with 3 officers and 1 suspect in a big parking lot that also had outbuildings that were lasting like 17 seconds before they got smoked. And usually those guys, the one that I remember I have on video, it's in my phone somewhere, the one that was 17 seconds, I asked him, I go, what did you see? He goes, I saw 1 guy at the beginning, and then I heard gravel crunching, and then I got shot in the back of the head. Like, there we go. That's it. That's how maneuver tactics work. And that should be integrated into the officer tactical training. Because if you show up in an incident, and shit's dangerous nowadays in a way that it hasn't been. You face rifle threats, you face people that will fight the police because they think they're doing a good thing. They think you're a freaking freedom fighter or some dumb shit like that. So you better be ready for it, okay? And if you don't understand tactics than they do, you are at a distinct disadvantage, okay? Okay. Fenrir killer. Okay, active killer was just the new language to remind people it could be a person using a vehicle or knife or harm as many people. Okay, I get that. Good on you. I didn't know that, but it makes sense. If you say killer as a shooter identifies it as a firearm related issue versus something else. Okay, cool. Now I know, man. Thanks, dude. Yeah, that Pat Chang, dude. Dudes shooting with their support hand with thumbs on AR. Just fucking stop it. Just stop that dumb shit. That's entertainment, man. Yeah, Ranger Handbook. There's SUT handbooks in both the the Army and the Marine Corps that are extremely good. They're almost identical. They're just a little bit different. We use Army and Marine Corps use a little different terminology sometimes, but otherwise they're basically identical. And strangely enough, they've all been revised because I don't know. We've been using it incredibly effectively for freaking 20 years. Spanking dudes all over the world. So it works. We know it works. Okay. Most precincts are literally being thrown to the wolves. That breaks my heart. It just sucks that you ask people to go out and do shit that can kill them, and then you freaking you cut the branch when it gets uncomfortable. Yeah, see you out there. Yes, this is Alexander the Great. I mean, Clausewitz codified it. I mean, it's like we've been doing it in the freaking 18th, 19th, and 20th centuries. That so much so that it was written in manuals. Like this isn't new. It's a shame because they would make the officers safer and they would make the general public safer, which is really important. If you're an officer, you get paid just like if you're a mill guy. You get paid to assume risk. That's part of it. Okay, the civilian shouldn't be assuming your risk because the department won't train you properly. That's wrong. Yeah, Adam 1911. You have to take it upon yourself to get extra training. Just Google infantry tactics and get the Army manual or the Marine Corps manual and just read it. It will give you a lot of ideas. And then, like I said, there's some courses. My vehicle course teaches right out of the Marine Corps infantry manual. Like basically, we pull stuff out and we Pat was a Marine as well. He was the 9th Marines. But we change it so that it makes sense on the law enforcement side, the verbiage so that it doesn't sound military. It makes sense to law enforcement. But it's the same stuff. It's the same stuff, man. What you're doing is if you're a SWAT guy out there, or if you've gone to entry training as a line guy, you go in rooms, you split in the rooms, and you form an L. Okay, you're forming an L. So now that suspect has to fight in two directions, which he cannot do. Not effectively, and it's comply or die at that point. That's why you do that. You're just taking infantry tactics and you're sticking it inside a room. Okay, it's pretty darn simple. Let's see. Yeah, I can post this, Alex. I can post it on YouTube. Let's see what other. I'm just trying to go through questions when I see them. Okay, I think that's about it. And I'll just say this because it popped into my head. Just for the people out there that do it wrong, it is surprise, speed, and violence of action, not speed. Speed doesn't come first. The element of the amount of speed necessary for it to gain the element of surprise varies based on the approach and all the other stuff. We're trying to gain the element of surprise, and then once we have the element of surprise, we want to use speed and violence of action, which is a violent execution of your plan, an aggressive execution of your plan to sustain the assault or the raid or the warrant service or whatever you want to call it. Okay, it is not speed surprise; it is surprise speed. And I have seen guys that have been in units that I have been in that have said speed surprise. I'm like, bro, it's on the wine bottles that we had at the reunion. Surprise, speed, and violence of action. Come on now. I mean, so it's it kind of gets on my last nerve because when you say that, it tells me you just memorized something. You don't understand it. You don't understand the priority, the tactical precedence when you're talking about surprise, speed, and violence of action. Okay. Okay, thoughts on the use of comms while in close contact. It's all relative. Close contact can mean a lot of things. Having comms is important. What you want is you want an element leader that's controlling the element using comms, and everybody else, STFU. You're just following directions. And if you're smart, you'll have codes. You'll have key codes. You can just click once or twice for Roger, whatever. You can use comms without talking if you're concerned that the proximity will compromise your intent, your location and disposition. Okay, location, disposition, and intention are the three things you're trying to protect from the suspect. So comms are great to have. Just use them properly. It's not the view. Everybody's not freaking chatting. Okay, there's one guy talking and everybody shuts the fuck up and listens and does what he says. If you can't do it, there's got to be a code that says, that you can't. It said you can't comply, or you have to back out and get on comms. The whole thing is people get on the radio and they want to talk like it's the view. You don't need, if you rehearse properly and you understand your SOPs, you don't need to do that. Okay, I went through with the team that I was on in the Army. Went through an entire hospital. Okay, and we all were all on the same comms net. Our whole squadron went through a hospital, and all we heard on there was requests for specialty equipment, and at their limit of advance or back clear complete. That's it. There was literally no talking, clearing a whole hospital. So you don't, if you know your SOPs, you don't need to talk. You have a plan. You're following the plan. If you talk, it's because you absolutely have to. So comms are really important, but they should be very controlled, and they should only be used to transfer information that is critical to another element. All right. So hope that answers the question. Getting on the radio when they should be on the gun. Yeah. More specific. This is CRTC. More specific, cops getting on the radio when they should be on the gun. Okay. I see that a lot. If there's a problem, okay, I see it all the time. You see BWC and stuff where guys they're going shots fired, blah 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 on the radio with a gun in their hand, shooting. Okay, the cavalry's not going to get there in time, okay, to save you. You're there. Whatever's gonna happen is gonna happen right there. Like nobody's coming to freaking get you in the next 8 seconds. Or 3 seconds, or second and a half, because sometimes that's all it is. So you solve the problem as best you can when there's a pause that you believe allows you enough safety to talk. Then you get on the radio and say something. You don't, in the middle of a fight, you don't get on the radio. I don't care who you are. People say you're not a cop. I don't have to be a fucking cop. Okay. I understand how to fight people in open air, and you don't get on the radio and you don't start making calls when there's still bullets flying, unless you're calling in freaking air and shit like that, and you can stay alive long enough to do it. If I get on the radio and I start talking and it compromises my safety or the safety of one of my teammates, I am wrong. I have to finish the fight to a certain level, not all the way through, but to a certain level. When there's a pause, then I can get on the radio and call for the cavalry or call for freaking evac and shit like that. Yeah, and that's another one. What's it? Man, dinner, VN33. Shots fired is also one of the least useful things to say. Absolutely. Like who shots fired what? Me? Them? Somewhere? I don't know. It's a nondescript thing that says, truthfully, from my perspective, and I've seen people get on the radio in really dicey situations and jabber, it's because you're scared. It's because you're scared and you're like, oh my God, I got to tell somebody come help me. It's the truth, man. You don't, like I said, you don't have to like it, but you know it's true. Okay? So it's like if you're asking somebody if they think your girlfriend's cheating on you, you already know the answer, bro. Sorry. Yeah. Let's see what other questions you have. Yeah. See, getting on the radio in the middle of a fight is crazy. Yeah. You're right. South End suspect. It makes no sense. You've got really more important shit to do than talk on the radio. Okay? There's a lot more important stuff that you need to do right now. Okay? You can tell them that in a couple seconds. Okay? In 8 seconds or 10 seconds. When the situation stabilizes, or you dump the guy, if you're doing all the right stuff, you freaking jam the guy up, and then you call him shots fired, suspect down. It's easy then. Okay? Or you've got a lull. You've got a position where now the suspect is far enough away and you can control his movement enough that you can get on the radio and start requesting things. Just saying shots fired is not requesting anything. It's just saying I'm scared and this is what I'm doing. Make the bad man stop. So that's not the right answer. Okay. And all my friends that are cops and there's some really, really, they're legit. They're all guys that've been OIS and stuff like that. They all say the same thing. Like, quit saying fucking shots fired. Fix the problem and then say shots fired, suspect down. Said EMS, whatever. Like, Nobody's getting there in time. It's like that T-shirt from 30 Seconds Out. Nobody's coming. It's up to us. Like, we got to fix this problem, and we've got to base it on our skills, okay, our knowledge and our ability to outfight our adversary. That's where it comes down to. And if you don't have that, if you haven't been training and you don't have that skills, or those skills or knowledge to do that, you're at a disadvantage. And you should be seeking that out if you have a job where you carry a gun, because you may have to actually use it. So, back to that OAS. I go and get on rants because I'm what do you call it? Because I just answer questions and I'm like, huh. Yeah. Oh, I just got a message. I don't know who said it. I don't know if I can pull it up. He said, in their defense, it was a SIG. It could have fired by itself. I don't think SIG appreciated that. I see you, Merrill. Yeah. But if you're going to do something like that guy did, right? What went wrong? He tried to run the guy down and failed. Okay, that shit happens. I get it. The plan doesn't always go as planned, or like the plan never goes as planned. Okay. But he had no idea what to do after that. And so he just stopped. He stopped with his back to a suspect that he just tried to kill with his vehicle that he couldn't see. Okay? And he was engaged by that suspect. That's a problem. The location of his vehicle impeded officers coming to assist him. That's a problem. He got out of the car, started dancing around the car with this guy, and then ran out into the open. That's a problem. Okay, these are all unforced errors. He just didn't know what he was doing. I mean, and he's trying to fight the good fight. I get it. But at a certain point, you got to look at it and go, man, I was unprepared for this. You thought the magic bullet was a freaking, a freaking Chevy Blazer, and it didn't work. Now what? Okay? And then there's the fact that they try to, make the guy into a saint is kind of annoying. But because it tells me that they don't want to deal with it. They don't want anybody to point at They don't want to point at their lack of training. Let's see what he says. Yeah, it's the real Zuni. When they engaged the suspect after he was ran over, it appeared rounds were striking the ground and not hitting the suspect. These appeared to be, so he was shot before he was run over. He got dumped by somebody with a rifle. Then he was run over, and then, everybody wanted to, put a bullet in Bin Laden kind of shit, which was stupid. If the guy's down, the guy's down. If he's no longer a threat, then what are you doing? You're just shooting so you can say you shot somebody. Whatever, dude. If that's your measure, you're a freaking weirdo anyway. Like, it's a job. This should be clinical. You are the consequences that he requested. He door dashed the freaking police, and you came there. All right, so like the idea that you got to try and put a bullet in a guy laying on the ground because you can I helped. Like, just stop that. That's kind of weird to me. There's a pathology in the behavior process when you think that's a good thing to do. All right, let's see if we've got any more. Okay, Southwest back, Houston. Yeah, I see a lot of guys in here, a lot of y'all in here saying you can't stand when people are yelling shots fired. It's just like, you might as well say something bad's happening on the radio. That's about as much information as I got. Okay, shots fired. We have no idea what that means. We can't help you. We can't send anything to you. You're just like, okay, some shit's going on, and this is the guy that says it. So, let's see. Yeah, command staff, Keystone Cop. Command staff will look at the video and see a successful outcome. They won't accept that officers get lucky. Yeah, and the problem with that is you've got something you can learn from. You don't have to freaking smash the guy. Just go, listen, man, you got lucky, dude. This is what you could have done this better. You got out of the vehicle and you got in a fight. Hey, I'm not saying the dude's a coward at all. Not at all. I'm just saying you didn't know what to do once the one thing that you were going to do didn't work. And so you got out of the car and you made a bunch of errors that almost cost you your life. And you stopped people from helping you. You put yourself in a position that you were in between responding officers and the suspect. And there was a vehicle, the vehicle that he got out of, that he had carjacked, you didn't even use that for some sort of protection. You didn't go behind it. And then you would have isolated him in the intersection, and the responding officers could have pushed up. And it would have been a lot cleaner. It got done, yes, but it's like watching sausage getting made, Yeah. I mean, it's where's it? Jeff from All in Axe, dude. De-escalation 556 and Explorer. Hey, they got it done. The dude, you know, I'm crying no tears for him, right? But it could have been done a lot cleaner. That's all I'm saying. Could have been done a lot cleaner, and they're fortunate that officer didn't get killed. Right at the beginning, when he was getting out of that car, well, first of all, he stopped 10 feet from the suspect. He could have just gotten shot through that back glass, because that's not tempered glass. He could have come back through there. Instead of nicking his head, it could have hit him right at the base of his skull and severed his freaking, you know, spine. So he could have been killed there. Got out of the vehicle, was kind of awkward getting out and kind of frantic there. The suspect came around and didn't press the fight. If he'd pressed the fight, would have killed him there. Ran out in the open. If the suspect had held his position and just pushed out, he could have killed him in the open. Like, there were a bunch of opportunities for that suspect to do some naughty stuff, and he didn't do it, which means that officer got lucky multiple times. There's like 3 mulligans there that I see. So, yeah, it's not that's you don't chastise the guy. The guy got out and he got in it. You don't like, hey man, I got nothing against him. If I met him tomorrow, I'd be like, hey man, you got after, but like, we need to talk about some stuff, bro. Like, but the idea that they're gonna try and cover it up and make him, you know, a hero, it succeeded. Success by luck is unrepeatable, and that was success by luck. So people need to talk about that. You know. Yeah, Jeff, it could have gone way ugly with bystanders. It could have been horrific. And that guy just had a handgun. Imagine if he jumped out with a little freaking shorty, you know, with just a buffer tube with 5.56 and just started spraying at him. Now you got 5.56 rounds going through a bunch of vehicles with people just sitting at a traffic light. Like, that could have been, with 1 or 2 things changed just a little bit, that could have been really, really, really unfortunate. And so they can't just take the win and run off. You know, it's like a guy, I had a guy in a class that was getting basically handled by a suspect, fell to the ground. When he fell to the ground, he had just gotten his gun out, hit his elbow, stunned his hand, fired a single shot that hit the guy in the head. And they're like, yay, took a headshot from the ground. Like, no, he didn't. He had a negligent discharge that just randomly shot the guy in the freaking head. So, like, yeah, that's not the answer. Okay, that's not the answer. But when you're talking about vehicles, or when you have an event like that, as a perfect example of vehicles as terrain, because now they're in predictable locations and orientations based on the locale. Now you're at a traffic light. Now you have vehicles that have people in them, innocent civilians in them. Okay, you try to run this guy down. Why would you stop in the open? That's what he did. And he stopped in the open with a proximity to the suspect that allowed the suspect to engage him, you know, somewhat effectively. He got some freaking meat, you know, some metal to meat. So he wounded the guy. You were way too close. Stopped way too close, because as soon as it didn't work, he didn't have another plan. He didn't know what to do. Hey, drive through it. Allow the guys behind you to push up. Push the guy into the intersection. These aren't things that like are difficult to understand. They're easy to execute. I'm gonna try and run you over. If I don't run you over, I'm just gonna keep driving, bro. I'm out. Okay? Somebody else take a swing. See what you got. And at that point, there were officers that were maneuvering up. You can see them on the video. They're maneuvering up, but they can't really engage the guy because the other officer's running around. They're trying to keep track of him. And then the suspect runs off, and that's when he gets shot and run over, and, you know, all the other stuff. So, let's see. What do we got going on here? Who's that? Safira, whatever. No, we're talking about a OIS in San Jose. Yeah, not the 37-year-old freaking dude who's pretty dead. Whoa, pun. Anyway, yeah. Here's the other rounds. The other rounds that were skipping off the road, that was just freaking, you know, MWR fire, morale, welfare, and recreation. That was just guys shooting because they wanted to, like I said, they wanted to help out. They wanted to go, yeah, I was involved in an OIS. I shot a guy. It doesn't count. Okay, it doesn't. So, but it was not good, and they should learn from it. And I hope they do. I know guys in San Jose PD, and they're good guys. They're genuinely good. I know a couple guys that are really good guys, exceptionally good guys, and they get it. But the department itself, the higher ups, they need to look at this and go, what can we learn from it so that our officer performance will be better if it happens again? Because it's not really if it happens again, it's when it happens again. It will happen again. Not exactly, it never does. Every incident is a one-off. Every fight is a one-off, okay? And so if something comparable happens, we want to make sure that we have the skills at hand at the basic officer level to at least have some sort of maneuver capability. We want to be able to set up effectively like a base of fire and maneuver element. We want to understand that we're trying to push this guy. We're either trying to limit his movement or we're trying to push him into ground he does not want. Because when you push him in the open, now everybody knows exactly where he is and he doesn't really know where everyone is. And if you push somebody in the open like they did there, and you've got somebody with solid skills with a patrol rifle, it's done. It's finished. They just make it stop right there. Otherwise, you've got air that can track the guy, okay, instead of narrating it like an NFL game. But you've got air that can track the guy. There's you're giving yourself even more options. You're getting him away from, away from anything that can protect him. You're getting away from the general public, and you're putting him in a position where you've got great observation on the guy. And then at the time and place of your choosing, you freaking hook him up. So, yeah, seeing if there are any more. All right, so, what time is it now? It is 8. Been answering questions and jabbering a little bit. Let's do better, There's people out there, myself, my partner Pat from Long Beach. There's a lot of guys out there, Dustin Mowry. There are guys out there that want to help out, that know how to do this and have done it. I've done it. I've done the vehicle thing for real. Okay, so it's like I'm telling you things. I can tell you why things work and why they don't work. Okay, from experience without telling you a freaking story. I can just tell you, listen, this is, and you can't deny it. I can just sit there and go, can you do this? Can you do it in this amount of time? Would this be a better option? I know the answers, but I'll discuss it with you and I'll get your feedback. That's what we do in the class. We don't want to be like up on high, only on transmit and not on receive. It's dialogue. That's the way courses should be. But that's how you make officers better. You get them to think along with you. You don't think for them. You get them to think along with you, and you throw things in there and questions. I don't want to tell you something necessarily. I want to ask you a question, and you answer it because you'll go, damn, that makes sense, because it does. It's all simple stuff. There's no magic to it. It's been like, you guys have said in here, Alexander the Great, started flanking people. Clausewitz codified it and put it in manuals. Basic tactics, okay? Basic tactics have worked since the beginning of time, okay? Since the beginning of most recorded history. But especially now, after 20 years of war, we have refined that in the military side, and it's all the same thing. Okay, you put on a blue uniform and not a green one. Okay, great, whatever. Okay, pay stub says, city of whatever instead of United States government, whatever. Stuff still works. If there's dudes with guns trying to kill each other, then it works. Okay, so it's not military, it's what, stop. Tactics are tactics. They are strategy. How you apply a strategy is based on the requirements or the limitations of your system. That's all. So if you know tactics, you are at a distinct advantage if someone else doesn't. If someone else knows tactics and you don't, you are at a distinct disadvantage. Okay? All you're doing is problem solving. And tactics are basically a principle-based template to solve problems. That's what we're trying to do. And you can't memorize it. It's not rote memorization. Literally, the only thing that in infantry tactics that's memorized is a near ambush where you assault through, because you're not going to outrun the bullets in the other direction. And if somehow you can bust through, now you're on the back side of the ambush line. That's literally the only one that has no thinking. It's just, hey, just go. Other than that, it's all strategy. It's all maneuver. It's taking key pieces of terrain. It's moving in a way that limits your enemy's mobility and maximizes yours, or allows you to fix them in place and stop their mobility, or allows you to push them into an area that they don't want to go. Push them in the open. Now, when you push them in the open, it's all done now. Okay? So hopefully it's in between my rants and wiseassery and shit. You guys have pulled something out of this. You understand tactics are important and they're simple. And you can go on the internet and type in infantry tactics manual, and it will come. The Army one and the Marine Corps one will come up on Google like the first two. Okay? And you can get ones that are translated from the German military and from the British, well, translation from the British, but not a translation from the British. Well, who knows? Never know. You can get it translated from German. You can get the British one. Like, they're all up there, and they're all in PDF, and you can read them all. And they're all the same. Okay? And it's all based on forming an L around someone, denying them terrain while you take key terrain, and then pushing them into a position that they can no longer fight you from. So you should be looking at that. If you didn't come out of the mill, then you find a guy that is. Every department's got some guys that were Marines or Army, that were infantrymen. Almost, I've never had an LE class that didn't have some Army or Marine infantrymen in it, or multiple from both. So get on it, get smart on it. And if you do know it, if you're a freaking 0311 or you're 11 Bravo in these things, start pulling it out, start showing it to people, start passing it around. What you have is really important. What the knowledge you have. okay, is really important. And your ability to understand and execute it will help your department. So be a force multiplier, man. Be a factor. So, all right, guys. Well, I'm going to finish off my evening and get some rest. Just got back from SHOT Show. I'm not sick, but my wife's not feeling great, so I got to go take a look at her, check up on her. Anyway, cheers, everybody. Been real. And get out there and train.